Hey everyone, so in today's video we're going to build this slat wall behind me. We were pricing one for our house, and to get an 8x4 sheet was probably over €100 or so. I'll put some prices up on screen now. So what I decided to do was to get one sheet of 1/2 inch plywood and one sheet of 3/4 inch plywood and make one of these. So I'll take you step by step through that process now. It shouldn't be a very long video at all, but I do want to give you a quick channel update. So my previous videos, which are quite a while ago, life got in the way, we might get into that in the future, but my last few videos were about Starlink, so I haven't uploaded in quite a while. So I'm back with a bang. I have a number of videos pretty much queued up and ready to go. As you guys know, I have built this house here, so I wanted to document that house build, which I can do. I have terabytes of footage. I'm also interested in the Starlink stuff, so I'll do an update on that to let you know how that's going. Some of you probably know, I have kind of a digital marketing online income style YouTube channel also. So I have that. I'll put a link in the description. But for today we're going to focus on this slat wall. I am gone crazy into my carpentry. I'm not very good yet, but I am trying. One other hobby I've taken up is electrolysis restoration, rust removal. So I have a number of videos ready for that, from old horseshoes to rusty swords and that kind of thing. They are time consuming, so I'll try to get them to you as quick as possible, but one thing to get really excited about is this very ancient piece of technology. Not thousands of years old or anything like that, but definitely a couple of 100 years old from what I hear and what I've researched. It is an old manual chisel sharpener. So with my electrolysis interest I have at the moment, I will be removing all of the rust from that. I'll take it apart and I'm going to try to rebuild it and reclaim it. So wish me luck. Before I do anything with it, I will bring it to an antique shop just to make sure I'm not erasing history. But that will be a very interesting video. So I have a few of those coming up, and that's it. I mean, I'm going to try and upload as much as I can. I spent too long wondering what this YouTube channel is supposed to be, and you know what? It doesn't matter. It is what I like to do. So yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And look, we're at a crossroads now, so let's go from here.
Okay guys, so for this video I'm actually going to give some live commentary. I'm watching the video the same as you guys, just explaining what I'm doing. Here I have a piece of MDF just thrown down on my tabletop, and on top of that I've put my 3/4 inch plywood, and there's another 3/4 inch plywood coming down. Those are pieces of waste wood that I just have lying around, so I decided to do something with it. First step is obviously to sand and clean them up as best you can. So what I want to achieve here before I start cutting them into 2-inch slats is that it's cleaned up as much as possible and I don't get splinters for when I'm adding oil and varnish. Next, after sanding, I've created this rig from a piece of MDF laying flat drilled into the table with a piece of edging that creates a 90-degree angle. This will allow me to put down my 3/4 inch piece of plywood, and I know there's a 2-inch gap between my blade and my saw, so I'll be able to cut straight up along the edge and make 2-inch slats. Now it's very important to set your depth through the actual 3/4 inch slat, and the point of the MDF underneath it is so the blade does go into that and doesn't damage your tabletop. It will also prevent blowout. And so what you should have is a perfect run of 2-inch slat. It should have gone straight through the board and just slightly touched the MDF underneath. Now, nothing's going to be perfect, but you can maximize the chance of perfect cuts by just cleaning off the dust that gets stuck underneath it, just so when you push in your piece of plywood for the next cut, there's not any gaps left and it fits nice and snug inside the rig. Now, I was wiping it away with a cloth, but then I decided to use my head and actually just get the shop vac and take up all of the dust. Now we're back to our next cut, so I'm just pushing my plywood sheet up against the rig, cutting my 2 inches, vacuuming up the dust again, then pushing my plywood back in against the rig and slicing again, and doing that over and over until you have your slats. So let's take a look if that piece of MDF actually helped, and as you can see, it's got a perfect track just cutting into it slightly. So I've cut every single slat off of this and it keeps going into the same track every time. Now guys, I do need this entire surface of my tabletop, so I'm going to remove the rig, remove all of the stuff that's actually on the table so that I can throw up my 8x4 sheet and make a start. Alright, so it's time to put the 8x4 sheet up on my tabletop. I forgot to put the brakes on, but I'll throw it up here. I don't have enough slats cut, as it was just a piece of waste wood for me, to actually cover the entire 8x4 sheet. It is 8 feet long, but I don't have it to cover the 4 feet across, so I'm thinking I might make an 8x2 in this case and see how we go. But I do plan to make a number of these for around the house, particularly in my office, and just see how they go. So I'm going to paint the back of the board black, but before I do any sort of painting, I just want to line these guys up just to see how far across this 8x4 sheet I can actually get and how it looks. So the space I'm going to leave between each slat is actually 3/4 of an inch. So if you think about it, it's going to be a 2-inch slat, 3/4 of an inch, a 2-inch slat, 3/4 of an inch space, a 2-inch slat all the way along. So I'm just going to use some of the offcuts that were left at the very end. That will be 3/4 inch because the plywood is 3/4 inch, and I'll use these as spacers. Okay, so it's not looking too bad. If you imagine there'll be a little bit of linseed oil put onto the slats themselves for contrast, and then the backboard will actually be painted black, so there should be a nice pop. Please bear in mind nothing is panel pinned in, nothing is glued yet. I'm just checking how far across the board I can get. I have a choice to make now. Do I just go for that as far as they go, or do I go all the way to the end by buying another 3/4 inch piece of plywood? But this is a project I was doing on a budget. I wanted to use up as much of the wood as I could. It's just waste wood to me. So for practice sake, when we're doing this the first time, let's go this far. At the very end of the project, I'll slice off whatever is the remainder and just have a nice thin piece of slat wall. So with that, it is time to begin the paint process. I did not buy new paint, I just had some matte black paint left over in the shed. It's kind of old, but it's not too bad yet. So I gave it a good stir, and yeah, let's see how this turns out. Alright guys, so a quick shout out to somebody I follow here on YouTube recently called Owen Reardon, another Irish guy who does a lot with handmade tools and creating stuff. He's always talking about linseed oil, so I said, you know what, I'm going to give linseed oil a go. So I got a bit. Owen, if you're watching this, apologies for the way I'm about to apply it, but I'm just going to brush it on like crazy. Soon in the video you'll see I just decide to ditch the brush and use my hands. Alright, so after letting some drying occur, I have gone and got my wood glue. I was going to get panel adhesive, but again, I'm doing this on a budget and I have tons of wood glue. So what I'm doing is one by one, I'm going to grab the slats, flip them upside down, use a little roller brush with glue, and actually get them all stuck in. Alright, so with the glue on the back of the first slat, it's time to apply it. So I'm just going to stick it down, leave it down to rest. Everything's currently drying, so I just want to make sure everything is fine. And yeah, I am contemplating whether I'll put some panel pins in or not. Panel pins can be very subtle, so I'll see. Here I am just adding the spacer again. And you'll see shortly then that I do this over and over using adhesive and the spacer. Okay guys, so here it looks after having the two first slats put on. I'm going to just rinse and repeat. I'm going to glue the back. I'm going to put in the spacer, make sure the space is the same between every slat. That's 3/4 of an inch. You can do less, you can do more, and then we'll go from there. I do end up panel pinning most of the slats in, but just 3 small panel pins in each one. One towards the top, one in the middle to keep it straight, and one towards the bottom. Now I have all of the slats applied. I've only got about just over 50% of the board done. I do think I'm just going to cut it off there and just have this project serve as a practice run. I will use it in the house, but it's time to stand it up, give it a little dust off and see how it looks. So I'm going to pick it up, spin it around. There we have it. So now at this point I'm going to leave everything to just settle overnight, give it a dust off, and show the pictures of it to the wife to see exactly if she likes it or not, if we're going to use it, put it in the house. Okay guys, so the only thing I don't have footage of right now is just cutting off the excess plywood. So basically I ran my skill saw up against the last slat and therefore had 2 extra inches of space to play with. If I can find the footage, I will pop it up on my Instagram, or I'll put it up as a post here on YouTube. And that's that. Thank you.